Hey there! Welcome back to another episode of Learn English with Podcast. I'm Nikki.
And I'm Tony. We're your hosts for today's adventure into the world of English learning.
That's right, Tony. And guess what? Today's topic is one that's sure to leave your taste buds tingling and maybe your stomachs turning. We're talking about weirdest foods.
Oh boy, this is going to be a wild ride. From bizarre delicacies to downright gross concoctions, we're going to explore it all.
Absolutely. But before we dive into the world of weird eats, let's share our thoughts on this topic. Tony, what's your take on trying weird foods?
Well, Nikki, I've always been a bit of an adventurous eater. I remember when I traveled to Thailand and tried fried insects for the first time. It was definitely a unique experience, to say the least.
Ha! I can only imagine. As for me, I'm a bit more cautious when it comes to trying new foods. But I've had my fair share of interesting culinary adventures too. Like the time I tried century eggs in China. Let's just say, once was enough for me.
Ah, century eggs. Those are definitely an acquired taste. But hey, that's what makes traveling and trying new things so exciting, right?
Absolutely, Tony. And speaking of exciting, we've got some fantastic guests lined up for today's episode. They're going to share their own stories of trying weird and wacky foods from around the world.
That's right. So sit back, relax, and get ready to hear some stomach-churning tales. But don't worry, we'll be here to guide you through it all.
So without further ado, let's welcome our first guest. Hey there, welcome to the show. What's your name?
Hi, Nikki and Tony. My name is Mike.
Thanks for joining us, Mike. We're eager to hear about your adventures in the realm of weird foods. Can you share with us a memorable experience you had trying something unique during your travels?
Sure thing, Nikki. So a few years back, I was traveling through Southeast Asia, and I stumbled upon this street food vendor in Thailand who was selling something called balut.
Balut? What's that?
Oh, Tony, you're in for a treat, or maybe not. Balut is a fertilized duck embryo that's boiled and eaten right out of the shell.
Yikes, that sounds interesting. So, what was it like trying balut for the first time?
Well, let me tell you, Nikki, it was definitely a challenge for both my taste buds and my stomach. The appearance alone was enough to make me hesitate, but I figured, when in Thailand, right?
I can only imagine. What was the taste like? Did it live up to the hype?
Honestly, Tony, it's one of those things you have to try for yourself to fully understand. The flavor was unique, let's just say that. It was rich and savory, with a hint of gamey texture from the duck embryo. Not exactly my cup of tea, but I'm glad I tried it.
I admire your bravery, Mike. After experiencing balut, did you find yourself seeking out more adventurous foods, or did you stick to safer options?
You know, Nikki, I think balut was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me. I definitely appreciate trying new things, but I'll probably stick to less exotic foods in the future.
Ha, can't blame you there, Mike. Thanks for sharing your balut adventure with us.
Absolutely. And now, let's hear from our next guest. Welcome to the show. Can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hi, Nikki and Tony. I'm Mary. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show, Mary. We're thrilled to have you join us. Could you please tell our listeners a bit about yourself before you dive into your tale of weird foods?
Well, during one of my backpacking trips through South America, I had the opportunity to try something quite unconventional.
Ooh, do tell, Mary. What was this unusual dish you encountered?
It's called kai, Tony. It's a traditional delicacy in Peru, and it's essentially roasted guinea pig.
Wow, roasted guinea pig?
That's definitely not something you come across every day. What was your initial reaction when you first encountered kai?
I have to admit, I was a bit taken aback at first. Seeing a whole roasted guinea pig on my plate was definitely a shock to the system. But I reminded myself that trying new things is all part of the adventure of traveling.
Absolutely. So, what was it like tasting kai for the first time? Did it live up to your expectations, or was it a bit too exotic for your liking?
Well, Tony, I'll be honest. The taste itself wasn't too bad. It had a crispy exterior and tender meat, similar to chicken, but mentally. It was a bit challenging knowing that I was eating a cute little guinea pig.
I can imagine. Did you find yourself enjoying the experience despite the initial shock, or was it something you'd rather not repeat?
It was definitely an experience I won't forget, Nikki. While I'm glad I tried it. I don't think Kai will be making a regular appearance on my dinner table anytime soon.
Fair enough, Mary. Sometimes, it's the unique experiences that leave the strongest impressions on us, even if they're not entirely to our taste. Thanks for sharing your Kai adventure with us.
Wow, Tony, wasn't that fascinating? I never would have imagined people eating roasted guinea pig or fertilized duck embryos.
Absolutely, Nikki. It just goes to show how diverse and adventurous our world truly is. I have to say I admire our guests' bravery for trying such unusual foods.
Definitely. And it's not just about the taste, but also the cultural experience that comes with trying these dishes. Each of our guests had such unique stories to share, and it's been a pleasure hearing about their culinary adventures.
Absolutely, Nikki. From Mike's encounter with balut in Thailand to Mary's experience with Key in Peru, each story has given us a glimpse into different cultures and traditions.
And let's not forget the humor in some of these tales. Who would have thought that trying weird foods could also lead to some hilarious moments?
That's for sure. It just goes to show that even in the face of the unfamiliar, there's always room for laughter and good times.
Absolutely, Tony. And speaking of good times, I can't wait to hear what our next guest has in store for us. Welcome to the show. Can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hey, Nikki and Tony, I am Harry.
Welcome to the show, Harry. We're thrilled to have you here. Can you share with us a memorable experience you had trying unusual foods during your travels?
Thanks for having me. So, picture this. I was backpacking through Southeast Asia, and I stumbled upon a street vendor selling something called durian.
Ah, durian, the infamous king of fruits. What was your first impression of it, Harry?
Well, Tony, let me tell you. The smell alone was enough to knock you off your feet. It's this pungent, almost overpowering aroma that you can smell from miles away.
I've heard about durian's strong odor. Did it live up to its reputation when you finally tasted it?
Absolutely, Nikki. The taste was unlike anything I've ever experienced. It's this creamy, custard-like texture with a sweet yet slightly savory flavor. Some people love it, but for me, it was a bit too intense.
I can imagine. Durian seems to be one of those foods that you either love or hate. Did you find yourself becoming a fan after trying it, or did you stick to safer options?
Well, Tony, let's just say that durian is an acquired taste, and I'm not sure I'm ready to acquire it just yet. But hey, at least I can say I gave it a shot.
Absolutely, Harry. Sometimes the most memorable experiences are the ones that challenge us the most. Thanks for sharing your durian adventure with us. What a whirlwind of stories, Tony. From balut to Kai to durian, our guests have taken us on a culinary adventure around the world.
Absolutely, Nikki. It's amazing how food can be such a rich reflection of culture and tradition, and along the way, we've encountered some key words that are essential for any English learner to know.
That's right, Tony. Let's start with adventure. An adventure is an exciting or unusual experience, often involving exploration or risk-taking. For example, trying weird foods during your travels can be quite an adventure.
Indeed, Nikki. And then, there's cuisine. Cuisine refers to a style or method of cooking, especially as characteristic of a particular country, region, or establishment. For instance, Peruvian cuisine features dishes like Kai, which are unique to that region.
Exactly, Tony. Moving on to culinary. Culinary relates to anything involving cooking or the kitchen. So, when we talk about culinary adventures, we're referring to experiences that involve trying new and exotic foods.
Precisely, Nikki. And let's not forget culture. Culture encompasses the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. Food is often a central aspect of culture, reflecting the traditions and values of a society.
Absolutely, Tony. And now, on to exotic. Exotic describes something unusual, intriguing, or foreign, especially in a way that is appealing or fascinating. For example, durian fruit is considered exotic to many Westerners due to its unique appearance and strong smell.
Right you are, Nikki. Next up, we have acquired taste. An acquired taste is something that you learn to like or appreciate over time. Usually after initially finding it unpleasant or unfamiliar, durian is often considered an acquired taste due to its strong flavor and odor.
That's true, Tony. And finally, let's talk about pungent. Pungent describes a strong, sharp, or overpowering smell or taste. For instance, the durian fruit is notorious for its pungent odor, which some people find off-putting.
Well, there you have it, folks. 7 key words to remember from today's episode. We hope you found this vocabulary recap helpful in expanding your English skills and understanding of the culinary world.
That's right, Tony. And remember, if you ever find yourself faced with a plate of balut or a piece of durian, just think of it as another delicious opportunity for an adventure. Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us on this culinary journey.
Absolutely. Whether you're a seasoned foodie or just dipping your toes into the world of weird foods, we hope you've enjoyed listening as much as we've enjoyed sharing these stories with you.
And remember, if you want to stay updated on all our latest episodes and continue improving your English skills, be sure to subscribe to our podcast.
Don't forget to give us a like if you enjoyed today's show, and share it with your friends who are also on their English learning journey. Together, we can spread the joy of learning and exploration.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep expanding your horizons. See you soon.